So today I am going to make some berry jelly. I'm going to show you how I do this. But first step I did was when I got home, I took my jars and I washed them in hot soapy water. And now I'm just letting them dry. I also washed the lids because you never know in a factory, even though they are washed before they are packaged. I still wash them no matter what. Just have to be on the safe side. And then check them for little hairline fractures and check around the rims of the jars to make sure there isn't no cracks. That's one thing I do. Okay, and now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is I had bought some Juicy Juice berry. Make sure you get the kind, and you can get any kind of jelly you want, or any kind of juice you want, sorry. Um, but it has to say no sugar added, and it has to be 100% fruit juice. So this time I am using berry. I use all kinds of different flavors, but this particular video we're going to do berry. Um, and now I will get my jars ready. Uh, for this particular batch of jelly that I make, I use a ball jam and jelly maker machine that automatically stirs it and everything. I'll show you that in just a moment. But usually each batch makes at least 4 half pints or 8 quarter pints of jelly. And so today we're doing half pints, and each bottle of juice I can get at least 2 batches of uh, of jelly. There's still some juice left over, and I have another berry kind I'll probably mix to make an additional batch, just so it will make a third batch. But I have 12 jars, and I'm going to try to make all 12 jars of jelly today. But this one is called berry, and let me show you my jam and jelly maker from Ball. So this is my jam and jelly maker, and I love this thing. I have 2 of them, and I use both of them regularly. Um, but we will make a batch in this, um, and I'm going to start uh, my Nesco canner and get some jars processed, get them bathing in some hot water, so we'll be ready for the next step. I did do everything in my Nesco canner. You can do it in a regular water bath pot, but I use the digital Nesco. It's just a lot easier for me. And I am no professional, but I enjoy using my Nesco. This is my Nesco. Um, so I do use this. It's got the water bath setting, and plus then it's got a high pressure can setting on it as well. Um, and what I'll do is I'll put 4 of my jars in here to process. I could do more, but each batch only makes 4 of these half pints, so that's all I need for the first batch. So that's what I'm going to process. I will fill this up with some cold water. We'll cover the jars, and then I will get this set up, and we will start heating up the jars. It takes about 25 minutes, so that gives me plenty of time to get all my stuff together for jelly, which isn't much, but I'll start the timer for like 20 minutes, and then in 20 minutes in, I'll start my jelly. So we will be right back. Okay, so now I have my jars in the water bath. I will close this and make sure that it's set to exhaust. Focus camera. As you can tell, it's taking a minute to focus, but it is on exhaust. I will then hit start water bath. I will go up to 1 minute because I'm just wanting to heat the jars up, and then I'll hit start. And it's that simple. And I will put a timer on for 20 minutes, and then I'll be back and we'll start making the jelly. Okay, so right before we get started with the berry jelly, this is the book that came with my jam and jelly maker. And it has some recipes in it. Let me get to that. So if you notice, it's got, like strawberry jam, berry jam, which is, we're making berry jelly, so this is where you would use real crushed berries and that. I have made that and it is very good. Peach, sweet cherry jam, pear jam, plum jam, and now we're getting into the jellies, and they have apple jelly, grape jelly, pepper jelly, and pomegranate jelly. They don't have a whole lot of recipes in here, but what I like to do, and they say to stick with the recipes in the book when you make these jams and jellies and these jam makers. But what I like to do is I take a simple recipe like apple jelly. Okay, it calls for store-bought unsweetened apple juice, and I always do the reduced sugar. So if you can see that, come on, phone, focus. Anyway, it calls for 3 cups of juice. So instead of apple juice, we're going to use unsweetened berry juice. We're going to use 3 cups. It also calls for 4 tablespoons of pectin. I will mix that in as well. And then it calls for half a teaspoon of butter or margarine, and that's to help with the foaming, so you don't have to scrape off the excess foam off the jelly before you put it in the jars, which is wonderful. And then on this reduced sugar, it calls for two cups of sugar. I don't know why my phone won't focus. So we'll use 2 cups. I always use the reduced sugar recipe because to me it's sweet enough. The traditional, I have done the traditional one time and it was just too sweet in my opinion. So, but this particular recipe calls for 2 cups of reduced sugar. So we will get started. I'll meet you at the jam and jelly maker. So we are going to add 4 tablespoons of pectin. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'll just whisk this, incorporate it pretty good. Just want to get it all kind of incorporated. Okay, so this is 3 cups of berry juice and 4 tablespoons of pectin. And it says to distribute it evenly, but it's automatically going to go evenly on that. So that's in there. And now we will add the butter. Okay, so basically I just get a pat of butter, put it in there, and that should be plenty. And we'll put our lid on. It does come with a lid. Now on this setting I will hit, it's got jam and jelly, but I will hit jelly since we are doing jelly. I will hit enter. And as you can see, it's going around. It's doing its thing. And in 4 minutes when it beeps, I will add in my 2 cups of sugar. I forgot to mention, when it gets to 21 minutes, it's at 22 right now, it will beep 4 times, and that is when we will add our sugar. And then I'll put the lid back on, and it will finish cooking. And we will not bother it until it is finished. And once the timer goes off, it will be done. Alright, so it beeped. We are going to add the sugar now. So I will just remove that. We will. And I try to distribute it as evenly as possible around. That's what you want. So we'll just kind of scrape off that. I kind of probably not supposed to get some of that sugar down. That looks pretty good. Alright, now we'll let it finish cooking. Okay, so now I am going to boil my lids because we are processing the jars of jelly for 10 minutes. If you have to process them longer, you wouldn't have to do this step, but since we are not over 10 minutes, we are going to go ahead and boil and sterilize our lids. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. As you can see, the lids are boiling. So, and my jars should be about done. And one thing you do when you open a canner is you always open the lid away from you so all that steam doesn't burn you. There's my jars. They're hot and ready to go. So I will be right back with you when this comes to 0 on time. And we will get this jelly jarred up. It's just about done. It will beep once it is done. As you see, we got 1 minute left, which it's been on a minute for a little bit now, so should just be getting ready to start beeping. And then we'll just hit the cancel button, and I'll remove the lid, and you gotta be careful because it's gonna be hot. And I'll put the lid away in the sink. That's where I usually lay the lid. And then we'll have to grab a pot holder. I'm going to go ahead and shut off my burner for the lids. Okay, so you see it's flashing at 0, so I hit cancel. And that's like, I guess a CO stands for maybe cool off. I don't know. But we don't want it to cool off too much, or otherwise we'll have jelly in there. So I'll just remove that, put that in the sink, let that. So what I will do now is I've got a pot holder, and I usually just reach down, pull that off, and then I immerse that into some soapy water. Okay, so I will get this moved over here, and where I'm going to jar it up, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so we've got it moved over here. There's my jars. They just come out of the canner. I will show you what I do on the first jar, and then I'll get them all canned out. And this is hot molten liquid, let me tell you, because it is hot. It hasn't set just yet. just one. So what I usually do next is I'll wipe the rim around, and we'll get all the, it's hard to do while holding the phone. And I just go around it. All right, now we'll get the lid, and I will bring it over. So what I like to do is just put that on there. And just do it till it is finger tight. And then I'll move on to the next one. All right, I got all 4 jars lids on and tightened, finger tight anyway. And now we're gonna put them in the canner. So we have them in the canner, and I'm just going to shut the lid, finger tight it. We'll do, hit the start button. We'll do water bath. We're gonna go to 10 minutes. Once steam starts coming out of here and it's rolling boil, I will hit the start button, and that will start the timer for 10 minutes, and then it will shut itself off. And then we will have processed these jellies, and I'll show you what they look like once we get them out of the canner. Okay, so my jelly had just got done processing for 10 minutes in the water bath. I am removing the jars now and setting them. I love to hear that. A ping. That's what we listen for. Oh, another one. Sometimes that will happen before you even get them out of the water bath, which is awesome. And that pinging noise means that it has sealed. That one did too. So we got one more in here. Reach down and grab it. Try to get the little, nope, that one sealed too. Wow. Okay. And that, my friends, we'll let these set for about 24 hours. I usually just wait till the next day, or maybe later this evening. They have set, and I'll kind of clean the jars up a little bit, and then date and label them, and then they're ready to go. But this is my berry jelly. Hope you enjoy it. It's so easy to make. Join me again. Hopefully I'll have some more videos up. Thanks.